Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where we are very close at this point. We need to launch a new rocket, and that will need to be, if we can get this opened up nice and quick here, that will need to be not the asteroid ferry. It will need to be the large asteroid tank, but I'm not going to use the autosave version, I don't think. No, this is a tank. What am I doing? We need the large asteroid mover core. There we go. That's more like it. So we're going to be bringing this guy on up. We're hoping that this is a little bit more stable. Fingers crossed. And we're also hoping that it has enough Delta V to get us to where we need to go. But really, we don't need all that much at this point. So let's go ahead and launch this guy. And let's see if we have any physics cracking right out the gate. I don't really expect very much because we're not running very heavily on robotic parts. And we're pretty strutted down. So in theory, fingers crossed, it should be reasonably okay. Now, we don't have any monopropellant in this. That is something that I never put on. And honestly, with the weights that we're working on, I'm not sure how much sense it makes to have monoprop. That said, getting turned around for braking is going to be complicated. Maybe we should just toss it on there. Let's revert this back to the vehicle assembly, and we'll get some monoprop in there just to be on the safe side. So we're going to head up here, and we're going to go into our fuel tanks. We want, like, the large variant of fuel tanks, and we're going to detach that. Attach this guy here, reattach that, make sure that all those struts are good to go. They appear to be, and then we are going to, rather than mounting it here because it could get blocked this direction, which I don't think is particularly helpful, we are instead going to mount our RCS blocks with whatever our highest thruster power is. 1.0, 1.0, 0.1. So given the thruster blocks, these are the same. And they have the same specific impulse as well, and the same monoprop flow. So these are just the same. Okay, we're going to get 8 of them, and we're going to position them here, and then we're going to do it again here, and again here. A lot of monoprop there, for sure. And I'm going to move our communications module here. We probably don't, strictly speaking, need this, but if we position it there, it extends to be there, which it's only mildly awkward. I'm going to move it to be here to be a little bit less awkward in terms of its final positioning. It'll be clipped in a bit when it's retracted, but that's fine. We probably don't even need this antenna at this range, to be honest. But there we go. A bunch of monoprop tanks there, or rather a bunch of monoprop plus a bunch of thruster blocks to be able to utilize that. Cool. So we'll go ahead and save and launch this, and we'll bring this up to the asteroid, and hopefully this will be a little bit more effective. We were having issues with physics krakens with the large mover, but this is a slimmed down variant. We don't need anywhere near the amount of fuel anymore, so this is good. We will go ahead and throttle this thing up, SAS on. Now, I'm immediately noticing a little bit of sway here. Hopefully that doesn't continue as we go. Another thing we could do is grab onto a nose cone with this guy. That might be worthwhile. We'll revert that back, and we'll see if we notice the sway again. But we'll come up here for now, and arm this advanced grabbing unit, and hopefully we can get a nose cone onto there with that. I'm not sure if we can or not. We'll try it. So we'll go into here. We would want to grab, like, a much larger nose cone than that. Let's see here. Let's just search for nose. Cool. So, not that guy. Getting closer. I mean, that's definitely not what we want. It looks like we can't grab onto that, but what we could do is we could set our engine plate our engine plate here to be short and attach it like that. If we were to detach this engine plate, like if we were to fire that, what would happen? That's something we need to test. And let's go for like medium short. Yeah. We're going to need a bigger nose cone than this, though. So that's fine. I know that we had a bigger one. We didn't use a fairing for it previously. Pretty sure anyway. Maybe it was this size. Nope, it was this size. Okay, there we go. Much better. So let's go ahead and put that out on the pad. Let's see what happens if we fire the engine plate. That's my question right now. If we detach that, which way does it go? That is something we need to know because we don't want to detach all of our all of our grab arms. That would be a problem. That would be a pretty major problem. So we're going to test this real quick. Let's see. What detached? It's hard to say. I'm going to try to tip us over a bit. Okay. I have no idea what actually detached. We're going to launch this simulated. I will revert this, and we're just going to try to tip over and see what detached. Okay. We're going to go over here. Did anything detach? Apparently not. That's pretty exciting. Nothing detached. Okay, so we'll revert that. And we're going to have to put in a decoupler then. That's okay. So we're going to come up over here, and we're going to put in a TD5 stack separator. Now, I believe that this needs to go in this direction. We don't want to fire this engine plate then, in theory. And this stack separator is here. So we'll split that out. Okay. We'll launch that. Fingers crossed. At this point, the stack separator should do what I want it to do, which is just completely clear the way and not be attached to anything. Just completely get rid of that upper section. That's the goal. Like everything above the grabbers. We'll see what happens here. So we're going to come up here. That decoupled. Okay. Once again, this will be reverted. I just want to come out over this direction and hopefully let it slide off. It does not want to come off. Okay. That's pretty exciting stuff. But I think it did decouple successfully. We can double check this by reverting this back to launch and then putting it up into orbit and decoupling it there. I'm pretty sure it's correct. It's just where we decoupled it is not where it's going to be decoupled. So we can test this really fast here. This once again will be reverted. And we're going to hop out into set orbit around Kerbal. I don't care what orbit. Literally any orbit is fine. Okay. And then we're going to fire this decoupler. So that goes out of there. And this section is drifting away, but let's just go ahead and RCS our way over to like retrograde. That was suddenly very strange. Oh, we grabbed onto this. Right, because this was armed. We're going to release that. And disarm. Yes, this appears to be correct. Cool. So we'll revert that back to launch. And we should remember to disarm that guy. That is something we should do. I'm only planning to launch one of these in theory, so I'll just do it here on the pad. And this one will be the real, actual launch, in theory. So we're going to come in here and disarm this guy. Cool. Throttle up, SAS on. We're not going to have RCS on at this juncture. And we want to have this guy up over here somewhere-ish. Let's double check our staging. This is all of that. And then our main sails fire when they separate off. Looks good. This nose cone falling off, not exactly at that time. This engine plate we don't really care about as long as these are combined together. Like that. And then we never, in theory, want to activate anything else up here. Okay, so something along the lines of this. Let's go. Off we go. And we're going to head over this direction very, very gently. We've definitely got a bit of a wiggle going on here. I don't love that. But we'll see if that stays the way it is. Yeah, it's definitely wiggly. We're just going to lock to prograde for the time being. Okay. And I'm just trying to pull us up a little bit here. Okay, we'll bring it back down to prograde. I think I overcorrected. I did. I overcorrected that. So now we're going to have to pull it back down ever so slightly. Just chilling here for the moment, and we'll let it drift back upwards now. Cool. So our apoapsis is not very high, right? That's for sure. But we've got 40 seconds of burn left on this thing. And we're just going to hold here for the moment. I don't really want to continue pushing it this direction, because our apoapsis is very low. We need more height. We've got 30 seconds of burn left in our SRBs. Cool. I'm going to go into orbital mode here, but we're not going to go back to prograde for the moment. We're still getting primarily horizontal speed, but we do need some vertical speed here still. About a 20-kilometer apoapsis for the moment. And we're about to run out of SRBs here in about 10 seconds. Sun is coming up as well. Fantastic. Absolutely beautiful. In fact, I'll just point the camera this way. Cool. 30-kilometer apoapsis at this time. And now we're going to turn towards prograde. There we go. We separate. Okay, clean separation. That was a bit of a butt clencher. I'm not going to lie. That one was almost a yikes. We're moving pretty quick and we're still pretty low, so that's a bit of a concern, but we'll just sit here on prograde for the moment. I think this is okay. Our time to apoapsis is holding firm. So I'm reasonably... Okay, it's going up now. That's fine. I'm reasonably content with this. Cool. We've got a good horizontal speed. And we're going to be poking out of the atmosphere here pretty soon. 56 kilometers, 57, 58. And we're just chilling at orbital prograde. Okay, we're going to go to about 75 here, I think. We're still a little low, so I'd like to continue to burn our way through this upper atmosphere here. At least for a little bit. But we're definitely starting to fight the atmosphere less, so that's good. 71, 72, 73, 74, and 75. I'm going to cut the throttle here. And then we're going to, at this apoapsis, add a maneuver. And push it on out. It's going to be a pretty hefty burn, but not the world's highest burn. We're definitely going to want to not burn normal. I want to change the timing on this burn. But let's go ahead and head over towards the maneuver, if I can get this grabbed. That's not exactly better. That's good enough. Okay. So we're not in orbit yet, and we're also not in space yet. But we can get rid of this nose cone, and so we shall. Nose cone is out of here. This will drift away over the next few seconds as well, I hope. It's currently hooked onto us a bit, but we'll be able to shake loose of that in the future, in theory. I'm going to try whipping back to prograde with RCS. And then bringing it back to the maneuver node, in hopes that we wiggle this guy free. I don't necessarily think it's going to happen, but, you know, one thing we could do is use our RCS to pull this direction and come free like that. There we go. That'll be fine. I'm going to turn off the use of RCS at this point, and our burn is going to start in about 25 seconds, which I think will give us clearance here. Yeah, we're going to have clearance on that for sure. Fantastic. So we don't need to carry that weight any further. 10 seconds until we do our orbital insertion burn. 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1, burn. And off we go. We've got lots of Delta V to get linked up to the asteroid. The question is, how much Delta V will we have left after we get hooked up to the asteroid? That's going to be an interesting question for sure. But we're going to be approximately half done with this burn when the apoapsis hits. It's not exact. It doesn't have to be. It's close enough. Yeah, we burned slightly early. But that's okay. So let's get into orbit here. 2, 1, and... yeah, that's good enough. Cool. So we'll just come back to prograde for the time being, and at this point we need to set this Class E asteroid as our target. Now, how far off are we? 0.9 degrees. Okay, I don't want this debris. I don't care about that. I want this descending node. There we go. And at the ascending node here, we will go ahead and burn... let's see, we need to burn anti-normal. 3, 2, 1, and 0. There we go. 33.4 meters per second. Looks good to me. Let's try a physics warp on this turn. I don't think we'll have any issue with that. Yeah, that's absolutely fine. And this is only going to be a 1-second burn. I'm going to burn it a little slower than that. I think that's probably going to be for the I was going to say for the wisdom, for the wise. That's for the best would be a better way to put that. I don't know where for the wise would come from. Okay, so we're going to warp forward a little bit further here. I do want to let ourselves turn, but we'll give it... there we go. And we'll just start burning this basically any time now. It's going to be close enough, I think. So we'll just burn this on down. Cool. Just a very gentle burn here, and we're powered by RTGs, remember. So this will be fine. Is that close enough? Not quite. Now it is. There we go. Okay, so now we need to intersect the asteroid. And the question is, where can we do that? Well, not there. I can tell you that. That's not going to be what we're going for. We are instead going to bring it around to here. Cool. So it looks like we could push out our prograde a little bit more here to bring that in closer. 11.4. And then we can tune it down with some radial, perhaps. We can see there's a pretty big relative speed differential, but that's fine. We could maybe time it slightly better. Oh, yeah. We can time it a lot better. That's 0.5 kilometers apart there. Okay, I'm just checking to see if we can get that any closer. The answer is we can. But I think we're going to have to go a little bit normal to do it. 0.1? 0.0. Well, that'll do. We'll line up for that maneuver node. Excellent. And 251.3 for our relative speed differential. So we're still going to be working off of our mainsails. That's great. We will go ahead and warp around to this. And that'll only be a few minutes here. Not a big deal. Now, do we want to actually be 0.0 kilometers apart? Not necessarily. We just want to get as close as possible. So that'll be fine. We'll head on over to the node. I'm not using RCS right now because it's not necessary, and I'd like to preserve as much monoprop as we can. I don't think we're going to run out of monoprop, but it's not necessary for the moment. So we will start this burn in about 40 seconds. We will allow this to get in position. There we go. And we'll warp a little bit closer here. About 10 seconds to go. 5 seconds. 3, 2, 1, burn. Okay. And here we go to intercept. Cool. 3, 2, 1, and that's probably about as close as we're going to get for right now. So we'll hold it here, and we can always burn towards target if we want to get any closer, but honestly, that's 0.1 kilometers. I think that's fine. So at this point, or maybe slightly before it, no, I think at this point, that's in T-minus 19 minutes and 22 seconds. So basically right here, we need 250.9 meters per second. We'll use this as a timer, and we want to be in target retrograde. We'll go ahead and warp to about here so we can get turned. Cool. And we'll use this maneuver as our timer. So we've got about 4 minutes here before we need to burn. Where exactly is it? We don't see it. Oh, there it is. It's about 50 kilometers out. Cool. Now, we may want to change the percentage of the burn, but I don't think so. I think this is about right. So we're going to position here. We don't care about this actual burn. We're just using it for the timer. Okay, we're about 30 kilometers out from the Class E asteroid. 20 kilometers. 15. We're now about 10 kilometers out and 30 seconds from this burn. I dropped us out of physics warp there so that we would be able to get reoriented for the burn. We're now about 20 seconds away. We are now about 15 seconds away from our burn. From our equalization burn, I guess we could call it. We can arm these while we're waiting. We've got 5 seconds to go. 4, 3, 2, 1, burn. Okay. And here we come. We don't care about this anymore. All we care about is the relative speed. Okay. We're just going to slow this down a little bit more gently. We'll let ourselves get in position here. Actually, I'm going to warp it a bit, I think. Well, no, we don't need to. So I want to target the center of mass here. Okay. There we go. So we're now motionless relative to it. We're going to get turned around, and you'll note that I'm not using RCS right now. I don't want to get any relative velocity relative to this thing for the moment. We will use RCS to adjust our velocity after we get a little closer in. Now, I'm going to switch over to it, I think. We can definitely see it waggling. We're going to turn the SAS off and the RCS off. There we go. And we're just going to let it tumble for a bit. Okay. If it's pivoting around its center of mass, that's completely fine. So we want to get over to the target. And we want to make sure that we're targeting the center of mass, and we want to be controlling from here, this center one. There we go. And we're going to be in position momentarily. We have picked up a little bit of speed just because our orbits are slightly different, but it won't be too bad. Okay, let's bring this on in at, for now, about 2 meters per second. Now I'm going to use RCS to adjust our velocity. Oh, that's so much more responsive. Okay. I'm going to slow us down slightly with RCS as well. Down to about 1 meter per second, I think, eventually. But for now, this is okay. You can see that our node is drifting quite a bit here and there. But we'll just correct that with RCS on the way in. So let's go ahead and warp in for a little bit here. Okay, we're about 60 meters out. Let's adjust our velocity here real quick. There we go. And now I'm going to slow us down to 1 meter per second. Okay, never mind. We grabbed on right then. Sounds good. Okay, so here we are, and now we're going to use this thing with its multitude of grabbers, most of which have grabbed on. I think there's maybe one up here that didn't, but that's okay. We should be quite solid here. Quite sturdy. And we should, at this point, be able to get this thing to our mining station. But it is time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And next episode, we're going to bring this in, and next episode may be our last. We'll see how it goes. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including Casserole, Sigma162, JJ Gamer, Spartan News, Nick Smarty, Video Games Are Not Real, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Kadra, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.